Hi, my name is Robert. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. Starting off my day at You Pull and Pay. See if they got anything new and look for a relay. Nothing much. If I see something special, I'll have to come back because I left all of my tools at my sister's place. Here at this V70, if this little foam insulator hose is not too expensive, I'm going to take it. It wraps around the engine and kind of shows the shape and pattern of that tube that comes around from the oil trap box to the turbo intake. So I'm going to take this with me if they don't want more than $1 or $2 for it, and let me go look around a little more. Talk about awesome. I came in this vehicle, 850 sedan, 96 model it looks like, to get this little relay thing here. Didn't have any tools and found this screwdriver. Yes, yes, yes. Talking about provisions. I'm going to show you how to replace the tail light bulbs in a 1999 Honda Accord. First thing you want to do is open the trunk. And once the trunk is open, you decide which bulbs you want to replace. If they're in this corner marker light, you come inside of the vehicle and remove one of these little pins here on either side of the vehicle. You screw it a half a turn and take it out. You could probably do it with a screwdriver or a coin, something like that. Let me see. Maybe I have to screw that all the way out. I thought it was just a thing where you do a quarter of a turn, but you actually have to unscrew that. Once you have that out, there's another one here if you need to, but you want to pull your carpet area stuff down. So you want to maneuver your carpet area in. You can pull it in like that, I guess. Then you have access to your light bulbs. Here, you take your light bulbs and you turn it a little bit counterclockwise, pull it out, then you could just unplug the bulb and plug it back in. They're incandescent bulbs, so it's not sensitive to your touch. The other one the same way. Pull the bulbs and replace them with another one. They just pull out like that. Once you put the bulbs back in the holder, like I said, they just plugged in. You could use dielectric grease if you like. You stick the socket back in there, turn it until it clicks. A little notch of a turn and you're done. If you have one of the bulbs there in your trunk area, all you have to do is open the trunk, reach up there, turn it, little knock of a turn, and then you have your bulbs there. They pull out as well. So it's pretty easy, but you do got to have a little bit of finger strength. Pull the bulbs out, put them back in, put the socket back up there, and click it back in place, and you're done. I'm back at this 96 850 manual. Now yesterday I got all of the lights working, mainly worked on the reverse lights, except for the high mount light, the one in the window. That's a third mount brake light. I'm not sure if that's been bypassed or if it's just not working, and I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but when the owner drives and has her turn signal and brakes on and all that stuff at the same time, it doesn't act right. Her tail lights up here dim, her brake light works, her flashers dim and flicker, but there's something going on with it, and it's either a bad bulb or a tail light control module. So I'm going to replace that third high mount light in the back window and replace that control module and see if all these issues clear up. With this vehicle having a wing on the back, I'm not even sure if this is hooked up, but nonetheless, I'm gonna go ahead and replace this bulb real quick and then replace that unit in the trunk. I have that bulb replaced, and it does look like there's a break in the element, so let me go in the trunk and replace this relay thing back here. Here's this lamp controller and the part number there. The vehicles that are newer, like 98 newer with LEDs in the back, they have a little bit different controller. So let me see if the one that's in here is the same. So you go over here and you got to pull this carpet down to access it, because there's the top of it there. Or you can just reach down there and jerk it out of there, one or the other. I was able to reach down there and jerk it out of there. And let me see if these part numbers are the same. And they look like they're the same. So I'm going to unplug this one and plug the one that I got in from the salvage yard, and then have the owner come out here and try to help me test it. I got to push down there, get this closed off, and I'm going to get it tested. One of the weird things that's going on with these tail lights is when the owner has her turn signals on, they work fine. And then when she puts her brakes on while the turn signal's on, she gets a bulb error. So there's a weird combination of things going on, but we're going to see if this fixes it. I'm going to start it, put her turn signals on, and then put her foot on the brake. Alright, it seems to have fixed it. Everything seems to be going well. Alright, put your foot on the brake again. Alright, and that third brake light up there. Put your other turn signal on. Put your foot on the brake. Alright, everything seems good. Today I've decided to work on my little project here. If you've ever done a PCV system, you know this is the main hose that goes from the oil trap box over to the intake tube on the turbo cars. Now, of course, if you buy this part from a decent retailer, it has a lifetime warranty on it. I'm not real excited about lifetime warranties because I don't like redoing the labor. To pull this hose off and put it back on, for most people, 5-6 hours. For me, it's probably looking at about an hour, hour and a half. But I don't ever want to have to replace the hose again. Now, some of you may recall recently that I was in Cincinnati. I was poking around on my daughter's car and seeing the tube was loose from the intake tube. Now, that system has been on her car maybe close to 4 years. I reached down to reconnect the hose. The piece snapped off in my hand. I went to try to adjust and fix it. Snapped again, snapped again, snapped again, snapped again. It's totally deteriorated and no good, and now I need to replace the whole hose. Well, you know, the system is serviceable, but if that hose breaks, it's broken. And if you're working around in that engine and you bump into that thing, it's going to break. So the newer cars, 99 and newer, they have a little bit different system as to this hose in particular is not plastic like this, which gets brittle over time, but it's actually aluminum. So one of the things I wanted to do was get off of that plastic, because I don't like the fear and stress and that stuff breaking on me and then having to tear it all apart. What I decided to do was to build a copper assembly. I already have a copper cutting tool, which I don't know, may have cost me $9. I bought this from Home Depot. It's 1/2-inch piping, basically the same as that, with an ID of 3/8, which is the same as that. This is 10 foot of it. Then I bought the small 1/4-inch OD, which is similar to what is on the end of this, and I bought 20 feet of that. I want to say, I don't know, I probably paid $20 for that, $18 for that. So I'm into this for somewhere around $40, $45. One of these assemblies is $50 from a affordable website. And of course, if you're replacing it or keeping the car for longer than a couple of years, you'll probably run into the situation where you'll have to replace it again, like I am with my daughter's vehicle. I also purchased this tube bending set, which allows you to bend tubing if you don't have the regular tube bender. That's not good for 1/2 inch, and since this is 1/2 inch, I got this spring set, and it's supposed to be good from 1/4 inch up to 5/8 OD. So I'm good to go with bending my tube. So I'm going to go ahead and get started building my own custom tubing. And if you want one of these, I can probably make them available for purchase for you so that you can have one, and or you could just build them yourself, however you want to do it. These are the items that I purchased. I got all of it from Home Depot. Let me go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start off by measuring the actual tube that I need to replicate the main tube that crumbles a lot, as well as that small tube. First thing I did was measure my tube, 25.5 inches. Not sure what that is in centimeters for you metric guys, but let me go ahead and pull that amount off of my 1/2 inch tubing and cut it. So I measured from the tip over there down to where I need to cut it off, 25.5 inches. So you open this up, you put this over where you need to cut it, like that, and then you tighten the knob down while you roll this over. So let me get it on there and see if I could show you live action how to cut the pipe. Alright, let me put this in the vise so I can roll it and film at the same time. Alright, with this little tool here, you tighten it on there. You can see the little blade there, and you just roll it around. Every time you roll around, you try to tighten the knob a little bit more. So this one is not tightening as good as I thought. Let me try to do it with my other hand here. Guess I'm gonna need 2 hands to do that. Hold on a second. Alright, tighten it a little more. Go around again. Tighten it a little more. Go around again. I'm gonna need my other hand again. About your 3rd or 4th time around, the pipe will break for you. And it'll have a nice edge on it. It won't be a sharp, jagged edge that's dangerous for cutting people. Taking me longer because I'm working with 1 hand instead of 2. Alright, there it is. Nice, clean edge. If you have the full-size pipe cutter tool, it has a little piece of metal that you can put in the end of that and go around and take out the little edges on the inside of the pipe, but the outside is fine, it shouldn't cut you. Next, I'm going to straighten out the first part of this pipe as best I can to match the curvature of the one that goes on there. This side goes to the box. It curves and swoops up and goes over to the intake. So let me work on straightening this pipe out, and then I'm going to use one of these bending tools to bend these 2 curves into it. I have the first pipe bent in the shape. So as you can see, it's about the same length down there, about 1/8 or 1/4 inch difference up there, and it's pretty much the identical shape this way, and it's a little bit different when it comes this way. So I'm thinking that should be good to go. Now I'm going to measure the smaller one and cut and mount that one alongside of it. Alright, I measured the small piece, which seems to be 1/8 inch maybe, and it came out to be 33 3/4. It's actually 34, but I think the end that goes to the intake is always a little bit longer than it needs to be. I would say probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch longer, so I'm going to cut 1/4 inch off of that end of it. So let me go ahead and cut my 1/4 inch. And 1/4 inch, like I said, is bigger than it should be, but it's probably a good size for it. I want to reiterate that you really need to use these two pipe bending tools, either the springs or the other kind, because if you try to bend this piping without a tool, it will crimp, and you don't want a crimp in none of this stuff. It'll also flatten out sides and stuff like that. So do your best not to try to do this without a pipe or two bending tools. Sad to say, you even need these tools when you're straightening it out. I straightened this one out without the tool, and it actually put a little flat spot on it here, and I couldn't get the bending tool over that. So make sure you use the bending tools even to straighten out from the roll. Alright, now I'm going to cut this pipe, which should be a little easier, seeing how it's a 1/4 inch pipe. Thanks. Better if you cut it instead of breaking it off. That way you don't close the end of it. Here it is. The large pipe took me 20 minutes to get it bent the way I wanted it. This one, because it's such a small tube, I should be able to bend it in 4 or 5 minutes. Alright, here's the other tube going down and up and over to the intake that way. So I'm going to double check that with one that's laying around here on the ground in the shop. And then I'm going to put these tubes through the insulation that I have here to have this set and ready to go. Now, due to the fact that this 1/4 inch tubing is bigger than this 1/8 inch tubing, or maybe it's 3/16, you're going to have a little bit of a hard time stretching that end piece over there, maybe on both ends. So you may need to do a silicone hose. I think the one on the intake side will be fine. The one on this side will be a little challenging, so you may just want to get about 1.5 inch piece of 1/4 inch ID silicone tubing to connect this to the side of the intake manifold. Now, if you're going to use your old insulation like I'm going to, you need to break this in a few pieces and then work it out of the tube. For instance, I could pinch there and then work the insulation, and that plastic crawls out of the tubing. I have all of the old tubing out. I'm going to push the new tubing in. I'm going to put 4 little pieces of tape on these 2 tubings so that they don't get twisted up inside my insulation when I slide it through. And there I have it, folks, my first Robert DIY PCV breather kit for the turbo cars 94 through 98. And I'm going to go ahead and test this hose on the vehicle tomorrow. I already purchased the ends for it, so I should be good to go. Painted a few more of these serpentine belt tensioner tools, and if anybody needs some of them, I do have them. I will post a note in the comments of the video for these tools whenever I run out that I am out of them. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.